Ladies and gentlemen, welcome into my instant week 2 reaction. I think I'm going to call this Upset Saturday because we had some major stuff, absolutely breaking news throughout college football. We're going to recap all of it, every single ranked games. They're not all over, but I'm filming this right now at 10:30 Eastern time, so let's get right into it. The full recap, my full breakdown, every single ranked game. Let's go. Alabama, Texas, OMG. This game, it felt like had basically no hype, and the one huge question mark that we kind of assumed was going to be answered, Alabama, skill position players. How are the receivers? They got 2 or 3 transfer receivers. Not good. Shockingly bad. Nobody expected it. The general public, 92% of the bets on Alabama to cover a 20-point spread. They barely win. They should have lost. Guys, when it comes down to the play in the end zone, Bryce Young, I think that should have been ruled intentional grounding. It's a situational play. I know people were saying that Bryce Young, the ball was tipped, so it can't be grounding. But in a situation when you're basically on the ground and you throw the ball, I think that has to be ruled intentional grounding personally. Texas football, I've been saying they're back for a while now. But guys, the thing with Texas that's so unique, Quinn Ewers, 130 passing yards in the first quarter. He's out. We'll see what his injury is. We'll see how serious it is. Hudson Card comes in. He's basically playing on one leg the entire second half. He's noticeably limping. So Texas now, even after their loss, they're going to be ranked probably inside the top 20, but they have 2 injured quarterbacks. So how does that dynamic work? It's very interesting. Alabama, I think, will be ranked second in the AP poll tomorrow. That has to do with the whole Ohio State, Notre Dame, Marshall saga that we're going to get into. But Alabama, shockingly bad. I like their running back. I think their running game will be fine. Skill position, wide receiver weapons for Bryce Young. It should get better, but right now they're not getting open. They're going to have to scheme to get those guys open. Crazy game. Great job by the Texas defense. They needed one more. Really, they should have won. They should have won this game. Their kicker missed the chip shot, extra point type field goal, 25-yard field goal. And Alabama's kicker also made a 51-yarder. So Texas was in control even with their backup quarterback. Crazy stuff. Alabama is beatable. Major takeaway there, they're beatable. They've got major issues at the receiver position. Ohio State 45-12 over Arkansas State. The one big takeaway here, Ohio State didn't cover. Ohio State is a team, in my opinion, they're just missing their superstar. That's all it is. They're going through the motions a little bit. They're missing their superstar, JSN. He should be back next week. Worst case, he'll be back week 4 against Wisconsin, although how good is Wisconsin? My goodness, all these teams are losing. But yeah, so Ohio State going through the motions. The defensive side of the ball, little bit concerning with the neutral zone infractions, 4 of them. I know nobody watched that game. I was watching some of it. Little bit disturbing there. C.J. Stroud, ridiculous. Marvin Harrison Jr., 187 yards and 3 touchdowns. Emeka Egbuka, superstar. Absolute superstar. We've got Miami over Southern Miss. They started off really slow, losing much of the first half. They almost ended up covering, but honestly, they didn't deserve to cover this game. They win 30-7 over Southern Miss. They've got Texas A&M next week on the road. Miami, how good is Miami? We should at least get a little bit of an answer next week. Arkansas 44-30 over South Carolina. Really surprised this was this high of a scoring game. Arkansas basically in complete control the whole game. You know, they're a solid top 20 team, no questions asked. South Carolina, they are what they are. They've got Spencer Rattler. He's trying. They're a middle-of-the-road SEC team. No surprise there. Wake Forest with Sam Hartman now back. Wake Forest takes care of Vanderbilt 45-25. There's like some weird bug up here or something. 45-25 over Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt is horrible, guys. Don't overreact to Vanderbilt being 2-0. They allowed 30 points to Elon last week. They're still really bad. They're still really bad. And Wake Forest ends up getting the win there. Next, we've got NC State. Did I not say this is exactly what was going to happen? NC State was going to try and overcompensate for their horrible performance week 1 against East Carolina. They come back and they're like, oh, see? And they run it up on poor Charleston Southern, the great FCS school. It's disrespectful. It's sad. You shouldn't be doing it. NC State needs to move down in the rankings after this. They win 55-3. Disgusting. Utah over Southern Utah. The Battle of Utah here. Big rivalry. Utah wins. This is another FCS game. 70 burger for Utah, 73-7. And then, guys, here's another huge one. Marshall 26, Notre Dame 21. Wow, just unfreaking believable. It was actually, at one point, it was 26-15. And then I think Notre Dame scored a touchdown, didn't get a 2-point conversion. Notre Dame is just really bad on offense right now. And we were wondering, is it the Ohio State defense, the new scheme, or is it Notre Dame being too young? Most of us bought into the idea that it's Ohio State new and improved defense. It was probably mainly Notre Dame. This Marshall, I mean, your 20.5-point favorites, your home opener against Marshall. Notre Dame is going to lose at least 4 games, maybe even 6. I mean, I don't know. We will see with Notre Dame, but they've got USC, they've got Clemson, they've got North Carolina. There's some other teams that might be scary. I mean, if you're losing to frickin' Marshall, oh no, not good. And then this has a major domino effect now. It looked like after the Alabama-Texas game, Ohio State was definitely going to move back up to number 2 behind Georgia. But with this performance, this invalidates Ohio State's resume because we're only in week 2. I see my top 3 in the AP. This is my projection on what they're going to do. Georgia number 1, Alabama 2, Ohio State 3. That's my projection because of this loss by Notre Dame. Because this loss by Notre Dame, it's going to take Notre Dame outside of the top 25. They're 0-2. They are 0-2, folks. Not good. We've got Clemson over Furman. 35-12. A little disappointing there for Clemson on offense. Only 35 points, but I'm sure they weren't trying to run it up. Clemson never does that against FCS teams. Another major shocker. Appalachian State, Michigan 2.0, 17-14. So, guys, the thing with Texas A&M fans need to calm down. This was never going to be their year. The fact that they were ranked number 6 was ridiculous. You're never going to... Oh my goodness. We've got a freaking bug infestation. What was I saying again about Texas? Oh yeah, Texas A&M. It was this year was never going to be Texas A&M's year. Yeah, sure, you got 8 5-stars. They're all true freshmen. You've got a young, inexperienced quarterback. Texas A&M and their boosters will break the bank for a quarterback. Trust me, they'll pay whatever it takes. They've basically done it with the rest of their roster. Think about it. Next year, Alabama, new quarterback. Next year, Ohio State breaking in a new quarterback. Georgia breaking in a new quarterback. Next year is really Texas A&M's window. They lose to Appalachian State. They never should have been ranked 6th. They never should have been ranked inside the top 10. I warned people after the Sam Houston State game. I said they need to move down. The AP people didn't listen to me. So they end up losing to Appalachian State. They were, I believe, 17.5-point favorites. That's when that line ended. And it was a really weird game because it was on ESPN2. The network does have an effect. It does, guys, because imagine there's a difference. I'm telling you, it's slight. If this game was on ESPN, I think Texas A&M might win. There's something weird about it, guys. Imagine it's weird. Next, we've got Tennessee and Pittsburgh. And my goodness, I mean, Pittsburgh in complete control. Tennessee gets the win in the end in overtime. And it's unfortunate for a lot of us. You know, you have Pittsburgh +7 or whatever. You really get screwed. This game was closer than a touchdown. The only reason it ended as that difference was because of overtime. And I'll be honest, this was a really good win for Tennessee, really. I mean, because Pittsburgh's a solid team. They're beatable, and they did lose their quarterback. But still, I give Tennessee credit for that win, definitely on the road. Washington State over Wisconsin. Oh my goodness, this is worst case scenario. Worst case scenario for the Big Ten. You needed Wisconsin. You needed Wisconsin to win this game. Win it easily. 17-point favorites. Washington State comes in. Cameron Ward. unbelievable. Braxton Miller 2.0. I'm not saying he's as good as Braxton Miller, but watch his swag. He's got swag, man. Oh my goodness. But yeah, Washington State. The problem with Wisconsin outgained Washington State by well over 100 yards. So just an unfortunate, really inexplicable home loss. You cannot lose this game to Washington State at home. We've got Georgia over Stanford. 33-0. They shut out Stanford, the FCS program. Georgia, I believe this game was on the SEC network. I did not watch a second of it. But you see 33-0. Georgia was up this whole game, and I think they just ran it the whole second half. Michigan State 52, Akron 0. Akron was actually outgaining Michigan State for much of the first half. It was funny, but Akron, I think, had 300 total yards maybe. I'm just making that up, honestly. I don't know, but it seems like Akron had a lot of total yards for only having 0 points. But either way, the next one, Texas Tech 33 to Houston 30. How does Houston lose? Houston, you just got to stop them on 4th and 20. You just got to stop. When Texas Tech converted that 4th and 20, I was like, there is no God. I was like, there is no God. I'm sure of it after this. When they converted 4th and 20, Houston wins the game. 4th and 20. I got Houston money line here, folks. Come on. I told people about it, and they blow it for me. That was crazy. I can't believe that. 4th and 20 in overtime. Oh. Next, we've got Oklahoma beating Kent State 33-3. The over-under in this game, I believe, was 70. And it was 3-0 with 2 minutes left in the second quarter. Oklahoma was getting shut out, and they end up winning 33-3. But a weird game. We were expecting 60-30, not 33-3. But that was the final score there. And then, of course, guys, the other major game, we've got Kentucky beating Florida, and my takeaway on this, it's the Anthony Richardson experience. We were seeing Anthony Richardson being mocked inside of the top 5 of 2023 NFL drafts, but we knew there was going to be inconsistency. Horrible game. The last time I checked, he was 11 of 28 with 2 interceptions and no touchdowns, and Florida lays an egg at home. Huge win for Kentucky on the road without their star running back. Hopefully they get him back soon. I don't know. I think he's suspended right now by the NCAA. So that is that situation. Kentucky is going to be moving up significantly. Florida, if you're Utah, that's a bad loss. That's not great that Florida ends up losing because you just lost to them. But still, I think for the betterment, if we're trying to look at the way the SEC is going, it's better for Florida to lose this game, just in my opinion. But it's gonna jolt Kentucky up. See, guys, this is what happens. One SEC team beats another SEC team, so they immediately get jolted up. Then someone else beats them, and because they beat them, then they get jolted up. Then someone else beats them, and because they beat them, it's a perpetual cycle, and it starts with a non-conference game. It starts with Utah lose. That's why I told people if Utah loses, it's going to be an issue. It's going to be a Bermuda Triangle of SEC death. And that's exactly what it was. And then we do have some other games. We've got Ole Miss crushing Central Arkansas. Jackson Dart didn't even start in this game. I don't know about that situation. We've got USC right now beating up on Stanford. This was my complete projection. I totally called this. And then, of course, you've got Kirk Herbstreit, middle of the second quarter, being like, I hope everyone else is watching this, all these athletes. Like, dude, really? Against Stanford? I said it on Monday that they were going to out-athlete Stanford and make a big deal about it. And it's like, we just knew this is what was going to happen. We've got Oklahoma State over Arizona State. Yeah, guys, that was my big upset. That was one. So there went that. But that game is almost over. It's in the fourth quarter. And then we've got, so guys, this is funny. I was thinking when the Michigan and Hawaii game was delayed, why not just move it to Monday night? Why not just Monday Night Football, put it up against the NFL opening Monday night game, see which one gets better ratings. Keep it on BTN. Keep it on BTN. Let's see. Let's go. Michigan, Hawaii, Monday night. Oh, it would have been great. But, of course, they're like, no, we're going to start it. Just delay it. I would have loved to see Michigan, Hawaii on Monday night. It would have been a historic moment for college football, and that would have changed college football's future. But it is, halftime. Hawaii's the worst team in FBS. I'm convinced of it. I've seen the light. I've had a cultural awakening. And Hawaii, they're the worst team. It's 42-0 right now at half. I'm sure when this video gets up, it's probably going to be up close to final. And then unfortunately, the Baylor-BYU situation, great game. I saw a headline on ESPN, BYU without their top 2 wide receivers. I'm like, are you kidding me? Come on. I got BYU in this game. BYU right now, 3-0, they lead. Of course, it doesn't matter. I know I'm not even going to talk about it because when you see this, the game's going to be pretty much, whatever. So, guys, that's just the final stuff. The major takeaways, Alabama struggling. What is going on with their receiver situation? They still have an unbelievable defense. We saw Will Anderson with that sack. He had a really bad unnecessary roughness penalty as well, but really big sack. Alabama, elite, top 3 defense in college football. The offense, I like the running back, Gibbs. I'm concerned about their receivers. I'm really concerned. They should have lost. Texas football, they're back. They're a good team. But, folks, the problem, they've got injured quarterbacks. It's an issue. Hopefully they can get healthy. We will see. We've got Notre Dame. Their season is over. Marcus Freeman needs to salvage this. Try and win 9 games. That's what Notre Dame should be shooting for. Realistically, I think best case for Notre Dame is 8-4 at this point. But, guys, that is going to do it for a wild, I call this Upset Saturday here, week 2 of college football. My instant analysis, instant recap, instant reaction, whatever you want to call it. Week 2 college football, major stuff. Make sure you're following me on Twitter. Link to that's always in the description.